Pisa behind us. It's time to hit the Italian Riviera for 2 relaxing days in Santa Margherita and Sestri Levante before a short stop in Lucca. Santa Margherita, it's had a choppy past. Known first as Pesino, it was devastated by Rothari, king of the Lombards, 641, by the Saracens in the 10th century. The Fieschi family owned it till 1229, when it was acquired by the Republic of Genoa. 1432 saw Venice attack it, and then the Ottoman Turk Turgut, captain of the Mediterranean fleet, attacked it and Rapallo in 1549. By 1813, under the Napoleonic regime, the towns of Pesino and Corte were unified as Porto Napoleone. 2 years later, it was annexed by the Kingdom of Savoy as the commune or municipality of Santa Margherita, and in 1861, it became part of the newly formed country of Italy. Its day in the sun was just after World War II, when it, together with Capri, were the hot spots for La Dolce Vita. It's reverted now to a somewhat sleepy resort town with pastel-painted homes. I took these 2 days off as a respite from the pressure of constant sightseeing and the demands of videotaping. The best time of day to explore the town is early afternoon, when some still take a siesta or have a body fry-up on the beach. The main piazza was almost empty. The church was inviting, but I passed it up. Back on the promenade, I strolled along, passing the elegant 4-star Lido Palace Hotel, and on to the little shops and even the Budweiser-labeled canvas-covered outdoor restaurant. That cart horse beer is everywhere. Yah! I found myself along the beach wall watching the Italian linguistic dance, full of expression, emphasis, and subtle meaning. For us North Americans, it seems an endless performance, so unnecessary and time-consuming in our lives so full of high intensity and the need to accomplish. Here it expresses a way of life to combat the ever-present daily chaos. Santa Margherita is known for one other thing: Italian weddings. I mean, for you and I when we marry, not just for Italians. What a lovely setting for the civil side, which in Italy comes first. Then this ornate church for the sacrament of matrimony. And all at the seaside. We ate outside that first night. Though it was steamy and hot, the seafood, wine, and limoncello were well worthwhile waiting for. The next day, the coastal ferry boats are back in port. A single dad with his budding Harley-Davidson son relax and play on the pebbled beach. While further down, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Or maybe it's just the bad and the ugly. After a quick dinner, it was back to our favorite watering hole to watch 2 games of the World Cup of football. Soccer to you. The first was dull, as the Italians weren't playing, so I took video. The second, I got so engrossed I didn't video Italy winning by a penalty kick against Australia. The town went nuts. Massimo said Italians would rather watch football than have sex. One last look at the beach, and then I'm off to Sestri Levante. Let's go backward to go forward. The Ligurian coast runs west to east. Ventimiglia is the first Italian town 7 kilometers from the French border. Genoa is about the middle, and La Spezia is the furthest east. There are only 3 sandy beaches along this whole coast: Alassio in the west, Sestri Levante and Moneglia in the east. The rest are big rocks, little rocks, or black lava stones. Narrowing it down now is the Gulf of Tiulio, which runs from Santa Margherita through Sestri Levante to Moneglia, the last town in the county of Genoa. We're almost there. You see now the names of the three most popular places, Santa Margherita, Portofino, and Rapallo, all one after the other. We're going to the fourth, and thank goodness the least popular, Sestri Levante, but it has what the others don't: sandy beaches. This street map of Sestri shows an isthmus and two bays, Baia delle Favole, Bay of Fables, so called as Hans Christian Andersen once stayed there, and the Bay of Hush, as it is protected even from the harshest storms. Looking at Sestri's two bays, the nearest is the quiet Bay of Hush, with the narrow isthmus, and on the other side, the large Bay of Fables. There's something very special about the Bay of Hush, as seen from the dining room of the new hotel called Vis-a-Vis. I have a confession to make. I stayed here for 3 weeks back in the summer of 1955. I was 24. It was an idyllic time. I stayed in the solid 3-star Hotel Miramare. It's changed, but not much. As you get closer, I noticed it's expanded. All that is pale pink is the hotel. The yellowish beige is not, except on the terrace, where they've added a new dining room. From the outside in, all has been renovated. It's more of a family hotel, but it's the only 3-star directly on the beach. On the Bay of Fables, the 4-star Hotel Villa Balbi, once the summer palace of the wealthy Genovese Balbis, still stands from my 1955 visit. Across from the Villa Balbi is a great restaurant that comes with cabanas and chaises longues. From there, looking up the isthmus, there's a beautiful private beige palazzo with exquisitely clipped hedges, and right at the top, the Hotel Gran Castelli, once 4-star and famous for the thé dansant plein d'air sur la terrasse, now, sadly, I'm told, rather déclassé. A sweeping look in the other direction, back towards Santa Margherita. There's a long row of hotels, apartments, and condos, none of which were there in 1955. The green and white cabanas belong to a new hotel. Actually an old hotel, completely rebuilt in 2003. The Grande Albergo is a 68-room Italian 4-star hotel. The facade of faux 3D frescoes reminds me of the carvings around some English mansions' fireplaces, done by the famous Grindling Gibbons. There's also a rooftop pool overlooking the entire bay. My most vivid memories of my last visit in 1955 were that although it's a very secluded bay, this Bay of Hush. By the way, this is how the internet translated the Italian Wikipedia website for Sestri Levante. I think it's much better than the Bay of Silence. After a storm, you didn't want to swim off the hotel's beach, for obvious reasons. In order to offset this, my other vivid memory, which the older hotel employees recall as well, is the man with the golden whistle. Twice a day about 10:30, then again about 4:30, he would blow his golden whistle on the terrace, and anyone who wanted to could go in his rented 35-foot open boat to swim off the rocks at the mouth of the bay. He did this daily all summer long for many, many years. He even took us up the coast one day to the little village of San Fruttuoso, accessible only by boat or by goat track over the mountains, to see Christ of the Abyss, a statue in 60 feet of clear blue Tyrrhenian sea water, dedicated to all divers. In the evening on the last Sunday in July, as the sun goes down, the lights of San Fruttuoso are turned off. The reefs are lit up by searchlights. A solemn procession of small boats push out into the harbor with a priest, who blesses the water. Then a small group of divers swim down and place a crown on the head of Christ. There are fancier hotels in Sestri, but not one like this one. It brings back a flood of wonderful, warm memories of an idyllic time in my youth. Today, a place I'd stay again for the sun, sand, and zabaione, my favorite Italian dessert, washed down with that powerful local golden wine, Shakitra. We pulled out of Sestri Levante at dusk, heading back down the coast road, passing La Spezia and Carrara of marble fame, turning east just before Viareggio on the lookout for Lucca, my next stop. Lucca lies 20 miles from the coast and 53 from Firenze. It is the capital of the province of Lucca. It was founded originally by the Etruscans, even though there are some traces of pre-existing Ligurian settlements. It became a Roman colony in 180 BC. Its history is like that of Sicily. For centuries it was invaded, bought, sold, given away, becoming Ghibellini under Pisa and Guelfi because Firenze gobbled it up. At one time it was Italy's silk trade center, but above all it's known for being the oldest Italian city that has its medieval walls still intact. Post-World War II, they even used the road on top of the walls for car races. You enter the city by one of the 4 gates. This is the Porta San Pietro. Now jump on the wall and either use Shank's mare or ride a push bike around the entire city. They're not especially high, but notice how thick they are. Parts are shaded by tall trees, and parts are great fun for children. There used to be 130 towers, some over 100 feet tall. Now only 9 remain. The Torre del Ore, preserved because it has a clock, and you can climb the Torre Guinigi, 130 feet, with an oak tree on the top. We're going to have a brief visit to these 3 places. First, the Piazza Anfiteatro, or Piazza del Mercato. Second, the Church of San Michele. And third, and finally, to the Duomo San Martino. The open-air marketplace was once a Roman amphitheater. The houses are built against the amphitheater walls. Low archways at the 4 points of the compass mark the gates where man and beast entered the arena. The correct name is San Michele in Foro, or St. Michael the Archangel in the Forum. And of course it was built on the site of the Roman Forum between the 11th and the 14th century in rich Pisan Romanesque style. The facade is somewhat pagan, every column different, surmounted by a stoic head, above which, in cosmati, inlaid marble, are wild beasties. The patron of this church, St. Michael, stands on a pediment atop the facade. In one hand a scepter, the other the orb, symbols of the kingdom of heaven and Christ. Who is St. Michael? I know him as St. Michael the Archangel. His titles include Protector of Israel and the Church, Angel of Death who leads souls to heaven to be weighed in the scales of justice and mercy. He's commander of the heavenly host who defeated Satan. He is both patron of warriors, paratroopers, mariners, police, and patron of the sick and dying, therefore also patron of paramedics and EMTs, emergency medical technicians. He's a busy boy. He's always depicted with large wings. These are hinged, folded back in a strong wind. The only thing of consequence in the church is a painting by Filippino Lippi, the legitimate son of the more famous painter Fra Lippo Lippi. It depicts Saint Helena, with the cross, of course, Saint Jerome, Sebastian, and Roche. Duomo San Martino, the Cathedral of St. Martin. In English he's known as St. Martin of Tours, that is in France. Actually, he was born in 316, a Roman Hungarian, in the district of Pannonia, in the town of Sabaria, modern-day Zsambate, Hungary. He was raised by his father, a Roman tribune in Italy, in Pavia. There is a legend about St. Martin and his cloak. While he was still a soldier, in the wintertime in Amiens, France, he met a scantily clad beggar. Without hesitation, he drew his sword and cut his military cloak in half, giving half to the beggar. In a dream that night, he sees Jesus wearing half the cloak and saying to the angels, "Here is Martin, the Roman soldier, who is not baptized. He clad me." The dream confirmed his piety, and he was baptized at the age of 18. Notice, one of the arches is asymmetrical, the one on the right. This was to make room for the campanile tower. Over the main door in marble is God the Father, and underneath, Christ in the center with the 12 apostles, 6 on each side. The Duomo dates back to the very beginning of the 13th century. It is also one of the chaotic edifices in Italy. No videography. Heaven only knows why, as there are several things of particular note that we shall see. This painting, done at the height of the Renaissance, is rich in gold. You find it in the sacristy. It's the Madonna and Child enthroned with saints. From the left, Pope St. Clement and St. Peter with the key to heaven. On the right, St. Sebastian with an arrow, and St. Paul with a sword as he was beheaded. It's done by Domenico Ghirlandaio, 1479, a painter, mosaicist, and goldsmith. The Last Supper, done in 1594 in the Mannerist style, yet with quite a different use of light, giving a dream or vision-like effect. It was done by Tintoretto, whose real name was Jacopo Comin. Because of the energy you can see in his work, he was also known as Il Furioso. He's one of the greatest painters of the Venetian school and considered the last of the great painters of the Renaissance. In the middle of the nave, yet off to one side, is the pièce de résistance in the chapel of the Volto Santo, the Holy Face. This image is said to be the true image of Christ, supposedly carved by Nicodemus at the time of the crucifixion. Once a year it makes a sacred promenade, the Luminaria di Santa Croce. It is outfitted with a crown, robe, and elaborate ornaments. The procession starts at sunset, September the 13th. Street lights turned off, torches lighted. The entire city turns out in all their finery. The crucifix is carried 2 hours across the half-mile width of the city, from the Church of San Frediano back to the Duomo. Good deeds and good fortune are attributed to the Volto Santo, and the good citizens in their gratitude donate gold plaques, which are hung in the Duomo, or cash. Before leaving Lucca for Firenze, one more interesting tidbit about San Martino, St. Martin. In the 4th to 9th century, the church instituted a fast, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from November the 11th, St. Martin's feast day, till Christmas. It was known as St. Martin's Lent. Sometime later, the church altered it a bit, and now all Christians know it as Advent. Lucca is over, as is our stay in Umbria, Liguria, and parts of Toscana. It's on to the supreme highlight of my Italian trip, Firenze, the symbol of the city and region, the Palazzo Vecchio, and of course, the Ponte Vecchio. See you there. Remember, it's the difference that makes the difference. And the difference is you.